That's been a big thing I've been considering lately.
Yeah.
What it means when someone says they wanted to have a healing or they're healing, that even that phraseology, because it almost reminds me of the idea of fixing something. And I'm wondering, anytime someone thinks something needs to be fixed, then they're insinuating something's broken. If someone's thinking they need healing, then they're insinuating they're sick or something's wrong, I'm imagining. So I started to wonder that maybe healing might be one of those taboo words that I have used a lot less of lately.
And what words would you use in place of that?
Well, I guess it depends on what someone thinks that they're healing, but I would say if someone thinks they need healing from something, rather than focusing on changing or fixing something that's broken or sick, maybe to embrace that, embrace the check engine light, as I talk about in Breaking Normal. So rather than thinking like, oh my gosh, I need to fix this check engine light, it's like, no, actually, thank you, check engine light. Let me see what wants my attention.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I've been viewing what I've been going through. It's just sometimes it's frustrating because it feels like you do that for so long and then you don't see an improvement. You actually see a regression.
Well, what are you talking about specifically for you on healing?
Like a chronic infection, like Lyme and different co-infections. It gets to a convoluted story.
Oh, so you believe you have Lyme's disease?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It was since when? I never knew that you thought that.
I didn't even realize that. I've been struggling with symptoms for like 10 years, and I never even crossed my mind until like recently when I did a whole bunch of research and I realized that that's what I have. These are my symptoms that I've kind of suppressed for like a long time.
Is it so are you self-diagnosing yourself with Lyme's, or is this based on something someone else told you?
It's a clinical diagnosis. I don't feel like I need it at this point for somebody to tell me what I know I have.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about that even with WebMD, and before WebMD existed, like when my dad, for instance, when he was studying to be a pharmacist and studying for the PCAT, and I've also heard this for people that are studying for the MCATs, or actually their boards, like passing medical school, a lot of times they start tapping into this like hypochondriac syndrome where they start thinking everything they're reading about they have. It's like, oh my God. Like, so my dad allegedly, he started thinking he had every disease, or not everyone, that's an exaggeration, but he started thinking he had all these issues that he was reading about when he was studying for the PCAT exam, which is the exam to become in pharmacy school, basically. And it's very similar, in my opinion, to sometimes astrology readings or name readings or horoscopes, in the sense that like people see what they're looking for. This is what I mean by this. And there are so many things, there's so many identities to grasp onto for human beings, and it seems for whatever reason that a lot of humans love categorization. So I'm not saying that you do or don't have Lyme's disease, but what I will say is that I'm pretty certain there's some quite credible people that don't even believe in Lyme's disease.
Yeah. It's an application of like a microbe, right? So your body's out of alignment somehow.
But even the idea that we're calling a certain cell or a certain bacteria a microbe, we're calling this being a different name, and then that being, if someone is sharing space with that being, whatever the microbe is, and that means they have this new word, and this new word comes with all this other baggage attached to it, that if people do see that patterns like, oh, I see this microbe and this behavior, that means that I have all these other kinds of things, and they might start living up to the expectation of that diagnosis rather than maybe a more accurate perception that some of these things are illusions. And I'm not saying Lyme's disease is real or not, but there is a book that Deanna loves. Have you heard of The Medical Medium?
The Medical Medium? No.
I think that's the author that claims there's no such thing as an autoimmune disorder or Lyme's disease, or that a lot of these things are really caused by something else. And because people haven't found the true origin, they are just doing the best they can to describe what's happening currently. And I'm not saying that's true or not, but I am saying that, like, wow, I can read all these studies from Harvard medical school literature and then read all these studies from Yale medical school literature and see exact contradicting ideas. So it's like, what's more truer than what's happening for me? I mean, everybody's having their own individual experience. It's paradoxically, yet we're all having a shared experience too. But anyways, that's one of the ideas about Lyme disease and healing. And then we're over halfway done. We have about 4 minutes left. Did you want to talk about money, or did you want to continue on this topic?
I'm always looking for money, or like I in some ways, like my programming's been bad around it, or it's programming that doesn't serve me. Like,
yeah, so in your particular, knowing a little bit about you and us that I do, I'm imagining your particular situation might be that you're looking to money as like a sign of success or not. And I would say, like, commit to your craft regardless of any attachment to the outcome, including financial. Like, what is this craft that you could be making money at? Is it playing the drums, or is it something else? Go all in, fully exhaust yourself in going all in, and then let go of the idea of money or not. And then I'd be curious how you start doing financially.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a really hard idea for me to, because I'm like, well, then how do I live? Like, how do
what would you be missing without the money? Like, what do you think this money's going to give you?
For me right now, it's like surviving.
Surviving, you mean so you can eat, or so you can?
Yeah, like eat and pay rent.
Okay, so have you thought about living without paying rent?
I mean, no, I don't know how that would work.
There's so many ways to live without paying rent, and that I just wonder. There. It seems like you've made this idea that money is a very hard thing for you to get, and because money, which is really at this point in time, is just like numbers on a screen,
right?
Telling people how to feel. Once again, it's not reality.
Right.
I know it's as real as someone makes it. But I'm just letting you know that now, like with the Bitcoin doing what it's doing, there's like new currencies being formed currently that are showing so it's like, what is money actually? What are these numbers on a screen that dictate how so many people feel, and even give you the idea that your survival is at stake because what these screens and the money are telling you? So how could you tap into your craft or your greatest gift to earn boatloads of money when you're concerned about surviving? And what I'm saying is, you're healthy, you're strong, you'll have all the food that you want, and you'll have all the accommodations that you want. But you might find that you might live a more liberating life if you lived off the woods and off hunting and foraging. I still think you would survive. I'm saying this idea of your survival at stake, that's as real as for everybody, but it's not based on the numbers on a screen.
What that would bring up would be, where I thought they would go, would be like parental issue. Like, what would my dad think of that?
Oh, well then with 30 seconds left, it is your job to break the normal of what your dad thinks. I believe that's one of the greatest roles that our children can serve for their parents, is to break their normal. So yeah, it's time for you to stop living up to the expectations of your dad around your career and do what's best for you, so your dad can be inspired to do what's best for him, regardless of you. And then y'all can live a synergistic lifestyle rather than a codependent one.
Yeah, I know. It's process.
Well, that's 11 minutes. Look at that. And it's as much as a process as you make it. You can do this right now. You can change everything real quick, real instantaneously. Let go. I read recently on the book club that I think you're already part of the group, but I would love to start discussing these books as a group. The most recent one I finished this morning was Letting Go by David Hawkins. Have you read that one by any chance?
No.
That's a great audiobook too. I think it would help you with a lot of the stuff you're processing.
Okay. Letting Go.
Letting Go from David Hawkins.
Run, guan, guan, guan. Run, guan, guan, guan.